Please welcome Gregg Renfrew, founder and chief executive officer, Beautycounter.
Hi everyone, I'm Gregg Renfrew. I'm the founder and CEO of Beautycounter. Thank you so much for having me with you this morning. I'm really excited to be here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Beautycounter and how we're really creating a movement for better beauty through using both on and offline strategies. But before I start talking about this, I'm going to show you our brand video.
The reality is that most people don't know what's in the products they're putting on their skin every day. We work out, we eat healthy foods, but then many of us unknowingly cover our bodies in questionable or harmful ingredients. What we put on our skin matters, and right now, there is a lack of regulation in the industry. I started Beautycounter because I believe there is a need for change. We want to educate consumers so that they have access to better information. We also want to provide a solution. Women of all ages want to feel beautiful and the best version of themselves. But at the end of the day, we have to protect our health. Our health is our greatest asset. We are holding ourselves to a higher standard, taking both performance and ingredient safety into consideration. When creating our products, we never choose approximately 1,500 potentially harmful ingredients. We want to give people access to information that allows them to make better, more informed choices to protect themselves and the ones they love most. As a mother, I want to protect my children. I would do anything to make sure they are safe and healthy. We believe our story is best told person to person, and we made a very conscious decision to sell our products through the power of people. We think that all of our independent consultants feel an enormous sense of pride being part of a movement for better beauty. We would never be where we are today without them. Success is giving people access to information, creating better, safer products, and advocating for legislative change that moves the industry forward. What better job is there in the world? You know, I run to the office every day because I get to work with amazing people on something that is incredibly important. My dream is for all people to have access to safer products. For our children and future generations to not have to read the labels on the products that they use every single day. We all deserve better. Beautycounter is a movement. Join us in getting safer products into the hands of everyone.
So, why did I start Beautycounter? Well, as you heard in this video, and you may have already been aware of this fact, but we have not passed a major federal law regulating the cosmetics industry since 1938. And this industry is a $62 billion industry in the US alone, and it's governed by about a page and a half of legislation that dates back to 1938 and still allows a number of harmful ingredients to be put in the products that we're using on our bodies every single day. So anyway, I decided to start the company because I really felt that there was a need for safer products in the marketplace. And as a woman out there looking for products, I could find products that were high performance and effective and on trend and aspirational and chic, but they were filled with ingredients I didn't want on my body. And on the other end of the spectrum, there were some very earthy, crunchy brands that didn't meet my needs. They didn't perform the way I wanted to. They didn't look the way that I wanted to. And so I started Beautycounter to bring high-performing and safer products into the market and to do three things. And we've built this business on three things. First and foremost, to educate the American consumer on the need for safer ingredients in the products that they're putting on their bodies every day. The second thing was to use commerce as an engine for change. Providing solutions through product and allowing people to vote with their wallets is one way that we can move a market. And then the last piece of this is to really focus on advocacy. Because at the end of the day, all citizens of all countries deserve safe products. And without further legislation, it would be impossible for us to move the market. And so we as a company are focused on these three things. How are we going to do that, though? When I thought about how I was going to tell this story, I kept thinking that the story is best told person to person. Having come out of the retail industry and having worked with all the major department stores on consumer brands and fashion brands, I really felt that that model was dead. I felt traditional retail was really over. Right? No longer is it the day that a department store can tell you what brands you need to shop and to buy. Right? Consumers are telling us what they want, and we as brands need to react. And so I wanted to create a new type of storytelling, and I tried to figure out how to do that. And the way that we figured would work best for us was to create what we call a direct retail brand. Direct to consumer through multiple channels, the largest of which is our network of independent consultants. So Beautycounter currently has created economic opportunities and created a mobile sales force of almost 30,000 women and men across this country and in Canada over the last 3 years. In addition to that, we use the online medium, obviously the digital medium, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And then last, we have built strategic relationships with retail partners as well as our own. We sort of launched our first wholly owned pop-up shop this summer. And what's been interesting is that even though we've worked with online retailers like J.Crew, and most recently, some of you may have seen us in Target. Did any of you guys see us in Target? I hope. We were recently in 1,500 Target stores. We were the first beauty brand chosen to do a capsule collection for Target, and it was a huge honor. But one of the things that we learned was that in the absence of having a direct-to-consumer conversation, our sales are not as strong. And even though we sold a bunch of product in Target, we didn't see the lift that we see from this very small group of 25,000 influencers who are our consultants. So as you think about your products and you think about how you're going to bring your brand and your products to market, you really want to be focused on creating a direct-to-consumer relationship. And so as wonderful as it was to be in Target, we didn't see that lift. 63 million people in their database, and we see more lift coming out of a network of 30,000 consultants. Sorry, one other point on that is also, I think transparency is king today, right? Consumers don't want to be sold to anymore. They want to have an open, honest, authentic, and transparent relationship with you. They want to have a two-way dialogue, and it's very difficult to do that in the traditional retail channels. So how do we do that? So at Beautycounter, we're really focused on using, and this is sort of kind of contrary probably to what most people tell you, but we really focus on using offline relationships to build an online community. We use the power of storytelling in the physical world to drive into the digital world. So for us, many companies, you just heard, the honest companies speak, and many of the companies like those and others are really focused on acquiring customers in the digital channel. So basically, in today's world, we're always focused on, and when I raise capital, they're always like, well, why aren't you just acquiring consumers online, right? Why aren't you buying them online? And we do, but our primary channel of acquisition is through people. But what's interesting is that we acquire them offline, but then we immediately bring them online. So while someone may have gone to a Beautycounter social, a gathering of 1 to 3 to 50 people in a room, they tend to shop with us online and they interact with us online from that point forward. And so we're really able to use the inherent strengths of these multiple channels to build really strong relationships with our consumers. So how are we doing that? So we think, especially in this town in Los Angeles, of the power of the influencer. And we know that there are so many major influencers, and those can be major YouTube stars, or they can be actors and celebrities and fashion icons. But we at Beautycounter believe that our story is best told person to person, and we believe in leveraging the micro-influencer. And so again, when I talk about this network of 30,000 consultants that we have, we believe those people are micro-influencers. And I define a micro-influencer by being that it person, right? Every single group of friends has that person, right? You guys all know that person that you go to when you want to get the latest and greatest information, or you always are looking to his or her outfit to say, where'd you buy that? Or, what do you do with your kids? And you have these conversations. And so we believe that through micro-influencers, we can reach as many or more people than using macro-influencers. Because if we have 30,000 micro-influencers, and we're leveraging their social networks at any given time, we can be reaching hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people on any given day. And so we really believe in the opportunity to leverage these people. And so our consultants are our network. We have the network effect of the digitally enhanced word of mouth. And how do we do that? Well, first and foremost, they're extremely passionate about our mission and our desire to get safer products into the hands of everyone. And so they're out there talking about this all the time. But we also can create this movement through fueling them with tools, with bite-sized pieces of content, with brand assets. In traditional direct sales, they always say that there is one brand, a million voices, and they allow people to sort of run wild with what they want to talk about. But that's not how we look at it. We look at it as taking a million voices and creating one brand, and allowing both user-generated content and the things that we create to build our brand and to build our movement for better beauty. And we can do this with people 24/7, one-on-one, or in large or small forums. So for us, why is this important, and why is the digital medium so important to us? Well, when I think about Beautycounter, and this is probably the wrong week to talk about this, but I kind of feel like we're running a political campaign, which is a little scary this week. But the thought is, right, that I am out there talking to people about the need for safer ingredients. I'm talking to people about sharing not just Beautycounter's products, because it's not just about our products at all, but asking them to share the story so that people can make better and more informed choices on behalf of themselves and their families. And how do you move a market? Well, you can move a market through sheer consumer demand, and you can move a market by telling people that you care about these products because you're buying them. But the other way of moving a market is through advocacy. And so we know that our laws are outdated and that we're dangerously far behind the times in this country. And so we have been extremely focused on our advocacy work in Washington. We have held hundreds of meetings on the Hill over the last couple of years. We have spent tens of thousands of emails and text messages into Congress saying we need more health protective laws. And for the first time since 1974, Senator Lamar Alexander and Senator Patty Murray hosted an oversight hearing on the state of the cosmetics industry to talk about the very issue that we believe is most important, which is that we need legislation over supply chain. We need legislation that they need the FDA to have more power so that they can screen ingredients so that people have safer products. And so for us, it really comes full circle. And building this digital movement and this campaign through influencers in the digital medium has been critical to us. So as you're building a brand, you're going to have you have your own business, you have your own mission, you have your own things that you're trying to do. But the most important thing that you really can do is build relationships through the digital medium. And I think that there are a number of ways you can do this. Obviously, you're all focused on your social channels, right? And that is, what is your presence on Facebook, and what is your presence with Snapchat and Instagram, et cetera. But one of the things that we've found to be extremely, extremely effective in terms of storytelling is using things like Periscope and now most recently Facebook Live to build intimate relationships with our consumers. So for me, as the leader of Beautycounter and the movement for better beauty, knowing that I have 30,000 women who want to connect with me every day, I can build my direct relationship with them through the digital channel. So how do I do that? Well, first of all, I shoot weekly videos. Every single week, in our offices, we'll walk around the offices, we'll talk about what's going on, and we'll have conversations with them, and they will come back to us and tell us what's going on for them. The second way that we do that is through things like Facebook Live, where I can, instead of reaching 200 of you right now to talk about and to answer your questions, I can be talking to 20,000 people all at once. And that information gets shared, and people feel like they know me because they can look me in the eye, and they can ask me a direct question, they can hear me laugh. And I know this doesn't sound that exciting to you, but for the women who sell our product, they really want to connect. Because why? Because they're sitting in Kansas alone in their kitchen deciding to sell Beautycounter every day. Or they're sitting in New York City in the middle of an office wanting to sell products because they believe in our mission. So how do we bring that community together? What is that common thread? We do it through the power of the digital medium, and we really are doing it increasingly through live video. The other way it's really important, the other way that that you can really use it as to build a direct relationship with your consumer is from a product standpoint. So we know well in advance from both working with our consumers and our consultants what products they want to see us bring to market. We know what they're asking for. We know what's going to sell before it ever hits the shelves. Well, we don't sell on shelves, but we know that. So we already know from an inventory predictability standpoint, from knowing that what the sell-through is going to be, what's going to be hit, what's going to be a hero, what's just a staple, have to have. You can really use this medium to have that direct relationship with your consumers, and that's going to help you build your businesses really effectively in a very cost-effective and successful way. And just to put this into perspective for you, our business has grown, hundreds of % every year. We went from being a tiny business to being a very large company in the beauty space in 3.5 years. And I can promise you that the reason that we've done it is because we have a mission that people believe in, we have great product, and we're connecting them to them online every single day. So where are we going? Because as for all the things that have gone well for Beautycounter, we have so much more work to do. And I think what we're really focused on right now is that intersection between commerce and content. Okay? when you think about it today, when I said that the traditional retail channels are dead, they're dead in isolation, right? People are listening to each other when they're making purchasing decisions more than ever, right? How many of you guys listen to a department store versus listening to your friends? Right. Right? When you're having a baby, who do you call? You call your best friend. When you're getting married and you want advice on your wedding dress, who do you call? You call your friend. You're not going to the store and asking their opinion. You're going to ask people who've done this before you. Well, we believe very strongly in this. And so we believe that content builds community and community drives commerce. Right? And so that intersection between the two is incredibly important. But how does that translate into an executable plan? And I think for us, it's really focusing on those touch points. And we have a long way to go, and I'd be the first person to admit it. But how do you create those intimate relationships and experiences across all touch points with your consumer? So what does it feel like when they pick up the phone and they call you because they have a problem with one of your products? Or how does it feel if you have the time to shoot them a video that is specific to them, or to send them an email that's customized to them, or to respond to one of their questions in a video? They really want to interact with you, and so figuring out a way to directly create an experience. And for us, it's really creating an online and multi-channeled experience that is on par with our products, really creating an incredibly robust experience for people. So how do we do this? And I think this is really where, for us, moving forward, where the rubber is going to meet the road, right? Which is that there are 3 buckets that we as a company are really focused on beyond just creating great, high-performing, and significantly safer products. First of all, content, right? Everyone's talking about content, and that means a different thing for every single company. But for us, content comes in the form of how-to videos, right? How to get a smoky eye, what are the products or what are the ingredients that you should be looking for on the labels that you're reading. So if you're looking at labels, what are the ingredients to avoid every single day? Which ones might be harmful? Helping our consumers navigate these very murky waters, right? Telling them about other brands that we believe in, telling them about our entrepreneurial opportunities through our Beautycounter platform, sharing the success stories of the women who have built businesses that are doing millions of dollars of sales. All those things, fold under the content umbrella of Beautycounter. And for us, when we think about it, is how do we do better? Better is a central theme for us, right? We are about progress, not perfection. So how do we do better? How do we help people do better by creating an economic opportunity? How do we create better products? How do we help you make better and more informed choices? And content can help us do that. And it's not just our content, right? It's user-generated content. Don't be afraid of that content. We need to focus on using their content and yours or ours and marrying the two to create that community. The second part of innovation is every single one of us wants to shop brands when we want, where we want, how we want, right? I want to be on my phone. I want to be able to interact with you in a store. I want to be able to buy from you online. I want to talk to someone live in person. I want to touch and feel products. Consumers are demanding that they shop single brands through multiple channels every single day. Right? You do not get to dictate how your consumers shop with you. They are telling you how they want to shop with your brand. And so it's really, really important to be able to shop, to make it accessible to them 24/7 on whatever way that they want to. And that's not easy. I think one of the most challenging things in terms of building a brand today is trying to do that for the consumers. Consumers want everything and they want it now. And I think as those of you who are building brands right now know that it's not easy. It used to be that you could open a store and then you'd launch your website and then you'd improve your website and someday you might do this. It doesn't happen that way anymore, right? They want it like right this second. They want it all. And so that's really challenging in terms of not only the workload but also just the amount of capital required to build a brand in today's environment. And then the last piece of this, and this is something that we're getting very, very focused on and have a long way to go on for sure, but it's personalization, right? What did I buy from you last week? Am I a man or am I a woman? Am I black or am I white? Am I young or am I old? What do I want? What are my preferences? If I'm a person who sells Beautycounter products, right? What does my team look like? How far am I away from my goal? What if I do this? How much money will I make if I do that? How far have I moved the mission forward? All those personal things, and it's not just to say, I can, put you on an auto ship retention program, or I can just send you an email that's just about makeup. People want really, really personalized marketing efforts today. They don't want to feel like they're being advertised in a blanket way, and they want to build very sticky personal relationships with you. And so we're really focused as a company on creating those tools that allow us to do that. We're not there yet, but this is what the future looks like for us, and we believe this is where the world needs to go if they really want to hold on to today's consumer. So We've talked a lot about community, we've talked about content, we've talked about taking action, and I'm obviously going to turn it over to you if you have any questions. But because in the spirit of using technology to our advantage, and because you know that we're a company that is wholeheartedly dedicated to getting safer products into the hands of everyone, and because you know after this election in the last week that it's probably going to be that much more work for us to do what we want to do, which is to see better legislation passed in this country to make our laws more health protective for all citizens, I would ask every single one of you to take out your phone right now and to text Better Beauty to 52886. All we're doing by doing that is telling Congress that we as Americans deserve more health protective laws. They have to listen to these text messages. They have to listen to our emails. And until our advocacy work creates more health protective laws, there will still be harmful ingredients that are linked to cancer, linked to birth defects, that are creating reproductive toxicity and hurting our bodies in the products that we put on our largest organ every day. So I would love it and ask you all to take action and be part of our movement in this small way. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Hi, good morning. Can you speak to how you were able to build such a rich network of micro-influencers and how you kind of decided who was actually appropriate for the brand?
So early on, we made a decision, which was to really embrace all people, to create a movement for all people. And so in doing that, the first part of the question is, we literally went across the country and hosted gatherings of family and friend and anyone that would listen to us, and told them our story and told them why we got into business and why I had started the company and the work that we felt was important that needed to be done. And people started to join us. They started to join us as consultants who sold our product, and they started to join us as clients. From that point forward, we really focused on trying to create a business that was incredibly inclusive and was representative of the country at large. And so we don't actually vet people who sell our products. It's an opportunity that is afforded to everyone. We've created a platform upon which anyone can build a business. That said, because of our brand, because of our mission, because of our focus on transparency and authenticity, people tend to self-select. They either completely buy into what we're doing in terms of working with Washington to create more health protective laws and focusing on building a business around education, or they don't. And so we don't exclude people from being part of the Beautycounter community, but we find that those like-minded individuals are the ones that choose to stay with us.
You briefly discussed hero products. How are you identifying what a hero product is for the company?
So I would say that hero products for us are those that sort of differentiate us, where we feel like we are really on trend, where we've seen just an incredible number of sales. So, for example, recently, Christy Coleman, who's our head of innovation, who's a celebrity fashion and makeup artist, had been saying to me for years, we've got to get into charcoal. Charcoal is going to be the next wave. And of course, I wasn't focusing on it because I'm not the product guru. And we launched charcoal masks, and it was the first time as a company called Beautycounter where we're not marketing. Our products are often gender neutral, but we don't market them to men. We just saw an explosive growth with that product, right? We cannot keep it on the shelves. Both men and women, young and old, are obsessed with our charcoal mask. And so to me, that would be a hero product. It also could be a product like our cleansing balm, where we've found that it has multi-purposes and people can use it not just as a cleanser but as a treatment. So for me, it's things that have been really standing out in performance in terms of sales, but also just feel like a different sort of a differentiator for us as opposed to some of the more integral parts of our collection.
Thanks. Would you explore any further retail opportunities, or do you feel like you really know that you don't want to do that now?
No, so I think that Target was an interesting experience for us in that we went to Target because for two reasons, right? We wanted to increase awareness of our brand, and we really, most importantly, wanted to increase awareness of our mission and the need for safer ingredients in all products. And what we found was, because there wasn't that direct storytelling opportunity, we didn't see the lift that we had hoped to. That said, we've had some but that said, Target was extremely successful for us in other ways. I mean, we sold product. I mean, we did millions of dollars worth of sales. It's not that it wasn't as successful, it just wasn't, we didn't see the lift online that we had hoped. What we did find, though, was that market validation was extremely important in terms of people who might have been skeptical about whether or not it was important to have safer ingredients, or were potentially skeptical or debating whether or not to join us as a Beautycounter consultant to sell our products. And we saw an enormous lift in that area, so that was really terrific. We had a very, very successful pop-up shop this summer on Nantucket Island, and we chose that just because some of our investors owned the retail space there, and that's where I started my whole entrepreneurial life. And we had an incredibly, incredibly successful pop-up shop there this summer. And so for us, I think that we are now focusing on wholly owned retail, which we believe that will be part of our future for sure, whether that comes in the form of a pop-up shop or a full-time standalone store, set of stores. And then we'll continue to build on our relationships that we currently enjoy with people like Goop and J.Crew and others, where we do strategic partnerships in small areas in time.
Hi. You mentioned that user-generated content is really important for the brand, and I was wondering the different ways that you utilize the user-generated content on your site and with different people working for the brand.
Yeah, so I think that we could do a better job of it, and I think it's something that we're really beginning to focus on more and more as we've gotten, part of it is sometimes for us, for whatever reason, people can be really shy. We say, shoot a video, tell us why you joined Beautycounter, tell us what this has done for your family, tell us why it's important to you. And people are like, well, I don't know how to shoot a video, and I don't know, I feel really stupid doing that. Once they got used to doing that, and once we sort of said, just get over the hump and do it, we started to find that they are all doing that. So one is that we've asked them to share their stories, and we highlight that on our social channels. We'll highlight it on Facebook. We'll highlight it through newsletters that go out to the 30,000 people, so because it's part of our weekly videos. But we also have been using examples. So when we launched in Target, we asked people to sort of do things for Instagram on Target, and then we started sharing their Instagram posts, all of ours. And so we're really trying to work collaboratively with them to encourage them and to go out and do it on their own, or to take something that we've done and tweak it to be slightly specific to them or to their needs, and then trying to use our social channels to move that through. So if you look at our social channels today, or if you were a consultant for us and look at our videos, you would find it's always going to be a combination of both now.